A show duct taped together by broken promises and hopes and dreams. Recorded in the corner of Wade's dirty bathroom. Get ready for WMVT.
Today, we're going to talk about a word mired in, well, controversy. And that word is digger. I've, of course, replaced the N with a D. Even though I grew up on the northwest coast of Africa, where I was a minority, and I also have an unusually large love stick, it doesn't matter. I still can't use the actual word. It's a strange word. It can be glorified by rappers, used affectionately among black folks, or end a career if said by the wrong person. And of course, it's used to express disappointment or anger, almost like a Swiss Army knife for emotionally loaded words. When I first arrived here 26 years ago, I ran into a major culture shock because the black community I grew up with was totally different here in the United States. I came here blissfully colorblind, which was a good thing, but not when you accidentally wander into Compton during the late 90s looking for a sandwich. I found awareness on that day. Needless to say, I skipped my dinner. I'm creating this episode hoping to shed some light on some cultural differences for folks that haven't spent time or grew up here. Maybe help bridge a few gaps and get us all a little closer to understanding each other. Alcohol and this word have some things in common. Both can get you into trouble if not handled carefully. The word digger is a modern reappropriation of the word digger. It started as a Latin word, niger, meaning black, a neutral, innocent word from the 1500s. But then the Europeans mixed it with colonialism, shook it up for a few hundred years, so it then ended up aging worse than Courtney Love's handbag. Apparently, black communities softened the ending from to This was a linguistic reclamation, taking a word that had been previously used against them, reshaping it into something new for them to use how they see fit. This, of course, is exclusively for black folks. Think of it as a linguistic VIP pass most of us aren't on the list for. Well, unless, of course, you're a director like Quentin Tarantino, who is the only guy that can write himself into a scene in 1994 just to say the N-word a few times to then get nominated for an Oscar. For people who didn't grow up here, this topic can be seriously confusing. You can joke with a person and say, "I'm going to kill you," and nobody panics because, well, you're probably not a murderer. But if you're white and say, "What up, digger," to a black person, you just became racist, or at the very least, insensitive. However, generally speaking, it's acceptable the other way around. It's paradoxical. A death threat is fine as a joke, but a racial slur from a white person to a black person as a joke can be devastating, but not necessarily from a black person to a white person. And now, to make things even more complex, there's a growing number of black folks who don't want to hear anyone say it, not even from other black folks. In 1996, Chris Rock, during his stand-up, said there's a civil war going on, a division between black people and what he called diggers. His point wasn't about skin color, but about behavior, a social split within the community itself. The impression I kind of get from that is almost like avoiding parties where you think your ex might be, so being somewhere else is probably better. A lot of rappers glorify the word, making it sound cool to say, especially to people from outside of the United States who may not fully grasp the history. Add to that the fact that many black folk like using this word as a term of endearment among themselves. So now you've got one of the most confusing social codes on the planet, especially to folks not from here. From the outside looking in, you might think, if the word is built on negativity, why does skin color change whether it's offensive or not? And that's where things get even more complex, because with this word, the meaning isn't in the letters, it's in the history, the tone, and who's holding the microphone. Bottom line is, we must all be mindful that the word is a reappropriation by the black community, so it's up to them to decide. This word traces back to slavery and oppression, but it didn't stop heroes like Rosa Parks from refusing to give up her bus seat in 1955 and later become the mother of the civil rights movement. Then came Dr. Martin Luther King, whose dream helped America move closer to equality. Fast forward just 50 years from the 1964 Civil Rights Act, when segregation legally ended and people could finally share restrooms and folks like Barack Obama could become president of the United States. Regardless of whatever your political views may be, you gotta admit, those are some seriously groovy improvements. Morgan Freeman told Mike Wallace during a 2005 interview that the best way to end racism is to stop talking about it. He also said he didn't want a Black History Month, not because he doesn't value his history, but because he didn't want more labels separating people. And that's really the bottom line. The more things we find to divide ourselves, the more divided we're gonna stay.
Wait, Martin's video thingy.
Oh, God. Don't subscribe.
UMBT.